Namaskaram, welcome back to my mythology channel. So today I'm going to be with you to a very special story. This story is long, so I have divided it into 6 videos. Okay, fine, let me tell you about that later. So today I'm going to be resuming Vishnu's Dashavatar. Today 7th avatar is actually called the Rama avatar. Rama is the avatar of a human. He was descended in the Ikshvaku dynasty. Actually, the Ramayana, meaning the story of Rama's life, is divided into 6 books, 7 books actually. 6 books contain his past and the present, and the 7th book contains his future. So today I am going to be telling the story in the first book, which is the Ramayana Balakand. Long ago, there lived a great sage called Valmiki. Valmiki was known as Adi Kavi, or the first poet. One day, sage Narada came and visited Valmiki. Valmiki asked Narada, "Is there anyone who is very great and who follows dharma in today's life?" Narada told, "Of course there is. It is Raghu Sri Rama. He is as profound as the ocean. He is as valiant as Vishnu. And his anger can destroy the world." So hearing this, Valmiki asked the story of Rama. Then Narada told the entire story of Rama to Valmiki. After that, Valmiki went for a walk went for his bath in the Tamasa river. There he saw 2 beautiful Karuncha birds. Karuncha birds are Sarah's cranes. But then suddenly a hunter came and killed those 2 Karuncha birds. Valmiki was overcome with pity and cursed the hunter. "O hunter, since you have killed one of the pair of birds in love, you will not live long." But then as he walked back after his bath, he was surprised at his own words, because the words sounded so poetical, so sweet. He started wondering. His disciple Bharadwaja also came, and Valmiki told this. Bharadwaja exclaimed, "Wow, a shoka into a shloka?" A shoka is meaning is a sorrow, and a shloka is a verse. So when Valmiki, as he was walking back to the ashram, he still thought about the beautifully worded curse. Then as he reached his ashram with Bharadwaja, suddenly Brahma appeared before him. Brahma told Valmiki greeted Brahma. Valmiki told Bharadwaja to wash the Lord's feet and hand with water. So after that, Brahma told the reason for his arrival. Brahma told that I need you to write, Valmiki, the Ramayana. I will give you divine vision through which you can see the story of Rama in your mind. Valmiki happily accepted, and he got the divine vision. So Valmiki started working on the Ramayana. The Ramayana, the poem, was actually over 24,000 verses and formed 6 kands, means books. It was divided into over 500 sargas, chapters. So after this, Valmiki decided that he needed to narrate the Ramayana to someone. So he searched for good disciples to narrate. Then at last he decided that he would narrate it he would teach Lava and Kusha the Ramayana. Lava and Kusha were the twin sons of Sita and Rama. And when Rama banished Sita from the kingdom, Sita gave exactly birth in Valmiki's ashram, and Lava and Kusha were brought up there also. Rama was not even aware of this. Lava and Kusha were quick learners. They learned the Ramayana quickly from Valmiki, and they went about composing. They went about saying the Ramayana to people. The people were really delighted of hearing Lava and Kusha's melodious voices. So, at last one day, the king Rama himself saw Lava and Kusha. He took Lava and Kusha with him to the court, and in the court of Rama, Lava and Kusha narrated the Ramayana. In a territory, this is based on Lava and Kusha's narration. In a territory called Kosala, its capital was Ayodhya. Ayodhya was a beautiful city. The people were happy in it, and so was the king. The Ayodhya's king was King Dasharatha. Dasharatha was a great emperor. His ministers were also really good people. His ministers included the great sage Vashishta and Vamadeva. So, Dasharatha had 3 wives who were the queens of Ayodhya. The eldest was Kausalya. The second queen was Sumitra, and the third queen was Kaikeyi. Dasharatha was a happy ruler, but he had one sorrow. He didn't have a son. So, Dasharatha decided that I must perform a Ashwamedha Yajna. That will get me a son. He consulted his ministers. Vashishta told, yes, that will surely get you a son, O king. Sumantra, one of Dasharatha's ministers, came to see Dasharatha. Sumantra told Dasharatha that, O king, there was once a great rishi called Sanat Kumara. He predicted that there would be a drought in Angadesha. So indeed, many years later, there was a drought in Angadesha. Sanat Kumara had predicted that the drought could only be removed by the arrival of Rishyaringa. So, when the king of Anga, Romapada, consulted his ministers, and the ministers told him that, O king, you must get the wise rishi Rishyaringa here and marry him to your daughter Shanta. Then only this drought will go away. Rishyaringa lived in the forest with his father Vibandaka. Vibandaka was a son of Kashyapa. Everyone was scared of Vibandaka because he was very fierce, he was very powerful, and if anything was wrong, he used to curse the people who did the wrong. So Romapada told his 2 priests to go and get Rishyaringa here. The 2 priests were scared of Vibandaka. So when Vibandaka was away, these 2 priests transformed themselves into beautiful women and came before Rishyaringa. Rishyaringa greeted them and offered them fruits, and they ate it. Then the 2 priests disguised as women had brought with them sweets, but they knew that Rishyaringa didn't know what was sweets, so they told Rishyaringa that it was a fruit, and Rishyaringa enjoyed it. So the next day, Rishiringa thought, are those two women still there? They were. So the two women told, would you please come to our ashram? We need to repay your hospitality. So Rishiringa agreed. So as soon as Rishiringa came to Anga, the rain started pouring heavily and the drought vanished. Romapada greeted Rishiringa. Romapada asked if Rishiringa could marry his daughter Shanta. Here's an interesting fact. Shanta was actually the daughter of Dasharatha, but Romapada had adopted her. So Rishiringa agreed, and Romapada asked Rishiringa for a boon. Romapada told Rishiringa, please grant me this boon, that no anger will enter the mind of your father and you for bringing you here in this way. Rishiringa agreed. So Rishiringa married Shanta, and Sumantra concluded his narration there. Sumantra told Dasharatha that the same way the great Rishi Sanat Kumar has also predicted that if Rishiringa comes and presides over a sacrifice conducted by a king in the Ikshvaku dynasty called Dasharatha, he will get sons. He will get a son. So immediately Dasharatha and his 3 queens left for Anga, to Romapada's capital. And Dasharatha told the reason of his coming to Romapada. Romapada told Rishiringa and Shanta to go to Ayodhya and preside over the sacrifice. So they did. In Ayodhya, the time for the Ashwamedha Yagya had come. So Dasharatha released the sacrificial horse. The horse went everywhere and was greeted by every territory. Then finally a year had passed and spring had come again. The horse returned. Ayodhya was bustling. The king gave away many riches to poor brahmanas. He built new houses for the people and built mansions for the royal guests. Sumantra, as instructed by Vashishta, invited all the kings for the Ashwamedha Yagya. Finally, the Ashwamedha Yagya started. Rishiringa presided over the Yagya as Brahma. Actually, the 4 priests who conduct the Yagya, in that the main person is Brahma. So Rishiringa was Brahma. After the sacrifice, Rishiringa decided to conclude it with a Putra Kameshti Yagya. So in the Putra Kameshti Yagya, a host of devas including Brahma came. Rishiringa and Sumantra greeted Brahma. But at that time the devas were worried and told Brahma, "O Lord Brahma, the Rakshasa king Ravana, the son of Vishrava and the half-brother of Kubera, is troubling us a lot. He is so powerful that the sun does not scorch him and the wind does not blow near him. Please get rid of him. He has immortality for everyone except humans." At that time Vishnu appeared, and due to a pleading of the devas, Vishnu told that he would be born as the son of Dasharatha. So Vishnu disappeared. Then suddenly from the sacrificial fire a celestial being emerged and told Dasharatha that he was a messenger of Vishnu. The messenger had a paisam in his hand. He told Dasharatha to give the paisam, to equally distribute the paisam to his queens. Dasharatha was happy. He gave the first half to Kausalya. Then from the remaining, he gave half half of the remaining to the Kaikeyi. Then Sumitra received the last share. So then the Brahma told the Devas that Vishnu would need help in defeating Ravana. Brahma told that from his knees Jambavan had come out, and the Devas should give birth to Vanaras as their children. The Vanaras were born. The powerful Vanaras were Hanuman, son of Vayu, Vali, son of Indra, and Sugriva, son of Surya. Time passed in Ayodhya. Dasharatha was still waiting for an heir. At last, 12 months passed and it was the 9th day of the month Chaitra. That day is celebrated as Rama Navami every year. Lord Sri Rama was born. His voice was of a kettle drum. He looked divine and his horoscope was really good. Then was a son born to Kaikeyi. He was named Bharata. Then the eldest was Rama. Then the second eldest was Bharata. Then Lakshmana and Shatrughna were born to Sumitra. From the beginning itself, Rama and Lakshmana were inseparable from each other. Even Bharata and Shatrughna. Rama never used to eat without Lakshmana, and Lakshmana always used to protect Rama. So time passed happily in Ayodhya. Before that, when Rama was just a baby, Kausalya had left him in a cradle. Then she came to do puja to Vishnu. But then she saw Rama eating the sweets there. She went back to check in the cradle. Rama was there too. Then she came back and saw Rama was still there. She was confused. How was there two Ramas? Then Rama saw her confusion and revealed his true infinite form. Kausalya was wonderstruck that she was scared to think of Rama as her own child. The great sage Vashishta took care of the 4 boys from Jatakarma to Upanayana. Then one day, on the gates of Dasharatha, a rishi came and told the guard, "Tell the king that the sage Vishwamitra, son of the Gadi, descended in the line of Kusha, has arrived." The soldier was surprised and reported to Dasharatha. Dasharatha immediately welcomed the sage. Vishwamitra told, "I have come here to ask for Rama and Lakshmana so that they can help me destroy Maricha and Subahu who disturb my sacrifice." Dasharatha was overcome with fear and he fainted. And afterwards, he woke up and he told Rishi Vishwamitra that I cannot give my sons. Rama is not even 16 years old. I myself will come with an army of 1 Akshauhini and destroy those Rakshasas. Vishwamitra became angry and his anger was shaking the earth. At last, the great and wise Vashishta told Dasharatha, that Vishwamitra is a great rishi. He knows the knowledge of all the weapons. Thus hundreds Astras and Shastras were actually the sons of the daughters of Daksha Prajapati, Jaya and Suprabha. So Vishwamitra has gained knowledge of all these weapons. This great rishi is even capable of creating new weapons. So finally Dasharatha gave way and he told Rama and Lakshmana to go with the great sage Vishwamitra. So they did. Vishwamitra joyfully accepted them. Then next morning they reached the other side of the Sarayu. The great rishi Vishwamitra granted a boon to Rama that he would not feel hunger, fatigue, water, or thirst for water or anything. And he even gave Bala and Ati Bala to Rama. So after that night they slept, and in the morning they woke up, and the Rama and Lakshmana performed their morning duties. Then they proceeded. Rama saw an ashram and asked Vishwamitra whose ashram that was. Vishwamitra told that it was it belongs to Lord Shiva. That is the place where Lord Kama came to disturb Shiva and Parvati's meditation. Shiva opened his fierce third eye and reduced Kama to a heap of ashes. From then on, Kama became known as Ananga, and that place, the ashram, is known as Angadesha. So that was the story of the ashram. Rama and Lakshmana lived there for a day, and the next day they woke up and the trio left. And when Rama was travelling in the boat, he heard a sound. Then Vishwamitra told, it is the sound of the Saraya rushing to meet the Ganga. You must offer prayer to both the rivers. So Rama and Lakshmana did. Then they passed by a forest. In that forest looked very deadly and fearful creatures were there. Rama was surprised and asked Vishwamitra, why is the forest like this? Vishwamitra told, after killing the demon Vritra, the king Indra of the Devas had committed a sin. So to purify himself, the priests poured the waters of Ganga on top of Indra, and the water came flowing to this land. Indra blessed the land that it would be prosperous and 2 cities would develop. Then a Yakshini called Tataka came and destroyed the cities. She's so powerful. Rama asked the reason for her power. Vishwamitra told that Tataka was actually the daughter of the Yaksha Suketu. Her husband was the wise Sunda, and her son is Maricha, the demon. You must kill Tataka. She turned into the Maricha, due to a curse, had turned into a Rakshasa, and the great Sunda was cursed by the Rishi Agastya. Tataka attacked Agastya and turned her into this frightful Rakshasi form. Tataka had a boon from Brahma of 1,000 elephant strength she would have. So Rama then took up his bow and twanged his bowstring. Tataka came running. There was a fierce fight. In the end, Tataka turned herself invisible. and decided to kill them. But then Rama was good at killing the target by hearing the sound itself. So as soon as he shot his arrow, it went and pierced Tatika. In that instant, it killed her. Then they passed by a beautiful hill. Rama asked, "What is this beautiful hill?" Then Vishwamitra told, "This beautiful hill has an ashram where I live. It is called Siddha Sharma." I will tell you the story of Siddha Sharma. Long ago, King Bali, the grandson of Prahlada, was performing a sacrifice. So the Devas begged Lord Vishnu to stop this sacrifice so that Bali doesn't conquer the world. So Vishnu took the avatar of Vamana. I have told you the story of Vamana in my 5th video. You can go and see it in my channel. So Vamana was born as the son of Rishi Kashyapa and his wife Aditi. His brother was Indra. Vamana went to Mahabali and Mahabali asked Vamana what he wanted. Vamana told Mahabali that I only want 3 steps of land, Mahabali. So Mahabali granted that wish. Then Vamana grew very tall. In one step he took the entire earth, and in the other step he took the entire universe. Then he asked, "Where should I keep my 3rd step?" Then Bali told to keep it on his own head, and that is how Vamana pushed Bali down into the Patal Loka. As a devotee of Lord Vamana, I live in this holy Siddha Sharma. But then Rakshasas disturb my sacrifice. I want you, Rama and Lakshmana, to guard this sacrifice for 6 days. So Rama and Lakshmana guarded the sacrifice of Vishwamitra for 5 days and nights without sleeping. In the 6th day, they needed to be vigilant. That time Maricha and Subahu came. Rama told Lakshmana, "Oh Lakshmana, I do not wish to kill these Rakshasas. But then using the Manava Astra, I shall scatter them. So Rama shot the Manava Astra. The missile of Manu hit Maricha in the chest, and he was flung for a distance of 100 yojanas. Next, Subahu was killed by the Agneya Astra, the missile of the god Agni, and the remaining Rakshasas were killed by the Vayava, the missile of the god Vayu. There was great happiness, and the sacrifice was completed without disturbance. Vishwamitra thanked Rama for saving the sacrifice. So on the next morning, they were on the banks of the river Sona. Sona is also known as the Magadi. So Vishwamitra told the story of Sona. And there was a great sage called Kusha. He had 4 sons: Kushanaba, Kushamba, Asurtajasa and Vasu. They founded the cities Kausumbi, Mahodaya. Mahodaya is the modern Kanuj, Dharmaranya and Girivraja, which is the modern Rajgir. The royal sage Kushanaba had 100 daughters. Their mother Gritachi was an Apsara. As they grew up, they spent their days dancing. They were very beautiful as they were the daughters of an Apsara. So one day Vayu, the wind god, fell in love with them and asked if they could marry him. But they did not marry him because they did not want to disobey their father's wishes. So Vayu entered their limbs and twisted them. Kushanaba was married and he found a way to remove the twist. So he got his daughters married to King Brahmadatta of Kampila. That is the story. That was the story. Then, after marrying his daughters, Kusharaba got a son, the virtuous Gadi. I am a son of Gadi, told Vishwamitra. I also had an elder sister called Kaushiki. Satyavati. Her husband was the great sage Richika. She followed him to heaven, and she was sent down to purify the world as the river Kaushiki. And that is the story of mine. So, next morning on the banks of the river Ganga, Rama asked Vishwamitra to tell the story of Ganga. Vishwamitra told, there was once a king, the king of the Himalayas, Himavan, had two daughters of matchless beauty. One was Uma and the other was Ganga. The Devas told Himavan to send Ganga to purify the world. So Ganga transformed herself into a river and went to purify the world. Uma was married to Shiva, the Lord Rudra. So Lord Shiva sported with Parvati, who was Uma was also known as Parvati, for many years. And but the Brahma was scared. Brahma told Shiva, the son born to you will be so glorious that his brilliance will destroy the three worlds. So please practice tapas. So Shiva asked, what about the energy which has already been released? Brahma told, let the earth receive it. So the earth received it. Then Parvati was angry. She cursed the Devas and the earth that they would not have children. Then Skanda was born. Before Skanda was born, actually, the Devas were worried the energy would burn up the world, so Ganga held the energy and blessed the energy that it would be he would be very dear to Parvati. So then then Kumara was born. The Kritikas nursed him, and afterwards Parvati took her child again. In one day itself, Kumara or Kartikeya grew up so strong that he could wipe out the entire Rakshasas. So this Vishwamitra told, now let me tell you the story of King Sagra. King Sagra, who was a descendant of Ikshvaku, had gone to the Himalayas to practice tapas with his two wives so that he would get children. The sage Brigu came and blessed Sagara that one of his two wives would have a son who would perpetuate the line, and the other would have 60,000 valiant sons. Keshini, the first wife, chose the one who would perpetuate the line, and the other queen, known as Sumati, chose the 60,000 sons. This Keshini's son Asamanja was a cruel youth. He used to throw children into the river Sarayu and used to laugh at them as they drowned. So Asamanja was exiled to the forest, but his son Anshuman was loved and beloved by all. Once Sagra decided to perform an Ashwamedha Yagya. So in the Ashwamedha Yagya, the sacrificial horse was taken away, was stolen. So Sagra ordered his 60,000 valiant sons to find the horse. Sagra's sons killed everyone on their way. Everything. They even reached the center of the earth and came back, but they could not find it. They reported this to Sagra. Then Sagra told, then break open the earth and find the horse there. So Sagra's sons came and broke open the earth. There they saw the 4 elephants which were carrying the earth. So they went and they still dug deeper. At last they saw a rishi, and behind him was the horse. So the Sagara sons accused the rishi. Then the rishi was Kapila Muni, but actually the rishi was Vishnu in disguise. He was furious at their accusations and shouted, "Hoon!" And Sagara's 60,000 sons were reduced to a heap of ashes. Not seeing his sons, Sagara sent the valiant Anshuman. Anshuman found out what had happened, and he found Garuda. Anshuman asked Garuda, "How shall I purify my ancestors' spirits, my uncle's spirits?" Garuda told, "You must bring Ganga to earth. Only she can purify them." But Anshuman failed in bringing Ganga to earth. Even Anshuman's son Dilipa could not bring Ganga to earth. Dilipa's son Bhagiratha was determined to set free the spirits of Sagara's 60,000 sons. So Bhagiratha did tapas on Lord Brahma. Brahma came. You can bring Ganga to earth, but then the descent of Haimavati cannot be withstood by anyone except Lord Shiva. So for a year, Bhagiratha, on his toe, he stood and did tapas on Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appeared and agreed to help Ganga descend on the earth. So when Ganga started descending, she decided that she would drag Shiva along with her into Patala. But then Shiva knew this, and he caught Ganga in his matted locks. Then Bhagiratha again took to tapas. At last, Shiva relented and he set free Ganga. Ganga split into 7 streams, 7 rivers, and the 7th river, Ganga, followed your ancestor. Vishwamitra was telling Rama, followed your ancestor Bhagiratha till to the place where Sagara's sons were a heap of ashes. Ganga nourished the earth. Devas, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, and all the celestial beings came. There was a great sage, Janu, was performing a sacrifice, but then Ganga had flooded the sacrificial ground. So Janu drank Ganga. So the gods prayed Janu to release Ganga. So Janu at last released Ganga through his ear. Since he released Ganga through his ear, Ganga is known as Jahnavi, the daughter of Janu. Then next day, on the other side of Ganga, Vishwamitra told Sri Rama that this is the city Vishala. I will tell you the story of it. Long ago, the sons of Aditi and Diti, the 2 wives of Kashyapa, were in a fight. So these 2 intelligent men decided to churn the ocean of milk. Vasuki would be the churning rod, Vasuki would be the rope and Mount Mandara would be the churning rod. So they churned and churned and churned. I have told the story in Kurma Avatar. This is just a short version of the story. If you want to hear the full story properly, you can go and see in my Kurma Avatar. So in this, the thing was known as the Samudra Manthan. The Samudra Manthan, first there came the poison Hala Hala. Shiva drank it. Then Mount Mandara started sinking. But Vishnu, as the form of Kurma, which held Mount Mandara on his back. Then came out many things. 6,000 radiant apsaras came out from the cream, and Dhanavantri, a sage, came out. So then at last came the Amrit. The sons of Diti stole it from the sons of Aditi. But Vishnu, taking the form of Mohini, took the Amrit with him, and whoever opposed Vishnu in battle were crushed. Diti was unhappy. So she told Kashyapa, give me a son who would kill Indra. So Kashyapa told, you should practice tapas for 1,000 years, austerities for 1,000 years, then you will get a son who is capable of killing Indra. So she performed as per Rishi Kashyapa had told. But then Indra also came to help her. After 990 years had passed, then Diti told Indra that 10 years are left for my son to be born. First I wanted him to kill you, now he will be a good friend to you. But Indra knew that this could not happen. So when Diti was sleeping, he used his Vajra and cut the babies into pieces. The baby started crying. Indra told, Maharut, which means do not cry. Diti told Indra not to kill her sons. So then Diti asked, please let them be as wind gods, the 49 wind gods who will travel the 4 quarters and the 3 worlds. Indra agreed. So the 49 wind gods are known as the Maruts because of the words Indra spoke to them. Then they saw Lakshmana and Rama at last came near Mithila. Lakshmana saw Mithila and was delighted, but then Rama saw an ashram next to Mithila and he asked Vishwamitra, whose is that ashram? Vishwamitra told, it was a heavenly retreat admired even by the gods. It was the ashram of the Rishi Gautama and Ahalya. They were practicing tapas. Once when Gautama was away, Indra wanted Ahalya to marry him. So he transformed himself into Gautama and approached Ahalya. Ahalya could not do anything as he was the king of the gods. So then, when Gautama arrived, he first cursed Indra, then he turned to Ahalya. He cursed Ahalya. You will stay here for 10,000 years until Raghu Sri Rama comes and you offer him hospitality. You will not be purified. Saying that, Gautama went to the Himalayas. So Vishwamitra asked Rama to set free Ahalya. So as soon as Rama entered the ashram, Ahalya was freed and she offered him hospitality. Foreseeing the visit of Rama, Gautama also came there, and he happily accepted Ahalya back. Then King Janaka came. He was delighted to see the great Rishi Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra told, I have brought these kinds of Raghu to see the great bow of Shiva. So Janaka agreed. Then Janaka's family priest was Satananda. Satananda was the son of Ahalya and Gautama. When he heard his father and mother were released, he told Rama the story of Vishwamitra. This is based on the narration of Satananda. Satananda told Vishwamitra was actually a king before he became a sage. Vishwamitra once visited Vasishtha's ashram. Vasishtha told his cow Shabala or Kamadhenu to give all the food to Vishwamitra's army. Vishwamitra was happy, and he asked Kamadhenu or Shabala for himself. But then Vasishtha would not relent. So Vishwamitra ordered his army to attack them. Then Shabala yielded an army. An army came out from her, and that army completely wiped out the army of Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra decided that I would practice tapas and I will get weapons to destroy Vasishtha. Before this, the sons of Vishwamitra had also tried to kill the thing, but then Vasishtha used his spiritual power and reduced them to a heap of ashes. Only one son of Vishwamitra survived. So after tapas, Vishwamitra got all the weapons. Then he went to Vasishtha's ashram and he tried to use the weapons. But Vasishtha used his Brahma Bala, and even the mighty Brahmastra could not defeat the great Vasishtha. So Vishwamitra gave up his kingdom and gave it to his son, the only son who had survived. He did tapas on Brahma, and Brahma pronounced him a Rajarshi. But then Vishwamitra's aim was to become a Brahmarshi. At that time, in the Ikshvaku dynasty, there lived a king called Trishanku. Trishanku wanted to ascend bodily to heaven, so he asked Vasishtha to do this. But then Vasishtha refused, so he asked Vasishtha's son. So even when Vasishtha's son refused, Trishanku decided to seek help elsewhere. But then Vasishtha's sons were furious, and in the next morning, Trishanku found himself covered in ash. Then Trishanku went to Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra decided to help Trishanku, and he told to prepare for a sacrifice. All his disciples invited everyone, but then the sons of Vasishtha would not come. So Vishwamitra cursed that they would meet Yama that very day. So Vishwamitra did his sacrifice, but the gods did not accept the fruits of the sacrifice. So then Vishwamitra, in his anger, he used his spiritual power and sent Trishanku straight to heaven. But then Indra was not happy. He told Trishanku, "You have not earned a place in paradise. Fall headlong towards the earth." Then Vishwamitra stopped Trishanku in that place itself and created a heaven for him there. That was the story of Trishanku. Then Vishwamitra moved somewhere else and practiced tapas. That time there was a king called Ambharisha. he was also performing in the Ikshvaku dynasty. He was performing as Ashwamedha Yagya, but the horse was had been lost. So either the horse should be found again or a human sacrifice should be held. Ambarisha tried to find the horse, but then he could not find it. So then he decided that he would go to Richika, sage Richika. It is the very same Richika whom I have mentioned in Parashurama Avatar. The sage Richika told, I will not part with my eldest son. And Satyavati told, I will not part with my youngest son. So the middle son Shunashepa went with Ambarisha. Shunashepa saw Vishwamitra and he asked Vishwamitra for help. Vishwamitra told, my sons, give up your life for saving this boy's life. But then Vishwamitra's sons are surprised. How can you give up your own son's life to save somebody else? Then Vishwamitra was furious. He cursed them that you will spend 1,000 miserable years eating the flesh of dogs. So then Vishwamitra taught Shunashepa the mantras of Indra and Vishnu so that he would not be sacrificed. Indra was, when Ambarisha took away Shunashepa, Shunashepa recited these mantras and his life was saved. So that is what happened. Then Vishwamitra did severe tapas. Before severe tapas, Vishwamitra saw a beautiful Apsara in a lake. The Apsara was actually Menaka. She had been sent by Indra to trick Vishwamitra. But Vishwamitra was charmed by her beauty and told Menaka to stay with him. Menaka stayed with him for 10 years, but then Vishwamitra realized it was a trick. He sent Menaka away and then he resumed his tapas. After thousands of years, Brahma pronounced Vishwamitra a Maharshi, but Vishwamitra still was not pleased. He wanted to become a Brahmarshi. So he did tapas even more severely. But then Indra did not want this him to become that, so he sent Ramba to charm Vishwamitra. And Indra accompanied Ramba in the form of a cuckoo, and Kama, the god of love, also came with the both of them. But then Vishwamitra realized it was a trick and cursed Ramba that she would stay as a stone image for 10,000 years. And so she did. So after that, Vishwamitra vowed that I will not give way to anger. I will not eat anything. I will be silent for 10,000 years. So when after the 10,000 years, just when Vishwamitra was going to eat, Indra came in the form of a Brahmin and told Vishwamitra to give food. And Vishwamitra gave food. Indra realized that Vishwamitra had conquered his anger. Then Vishwamitra did tapas. The Devas told Brahma to grant Vishwamitra the title of Brahmarishi. And Brahma came before Vishwamitra and pronounced him a Brahmarishi. Vishwamitra told, I want Vasishtha to pronounce me as a Brahmarishi. That is my greatest wish. So Vasishtha himself came before Vishwamitra and pronounced him a Brahmarishi. And that is the story of Vishwamitra. Rama was excited to see the great bow of Shiva the next day. So then, the next day, before seeing the bow, Janaka told Rama, I must tell you the story of the bow. Daksha Prajapati, his daughter named Shakti, had married Lord Rudra against Daksha's wishes. So when Shakti and Shiva were not invited to a sacrifice performed by this Daksha Prajapati, so Shiva in his anger took up his bow and destroyed the sacrifice, was going to kill the Devas, but then the Devas pleaded with Shiva. So Shiva gave away his bow to the Devas. The Devas later gave away the bow to King Devarata, my ancestor, told King Janaka. Then later, I found, after when I was plowing a field, I found a beautiful baby. And I adopted her and named her Sita. Sita's meaning is a furrow made by a plow. So I decided that my daughter will only be won by a person who can string this great bow of Shiva and bend it and break it. So many kings tried, but then no one was able to do it. So the kings were furious and they attacked my kingdom. They besieged Mithila for a year. I practiced tapas and asked the gods for a whole new army. With the whole new army granted by the gods, I completely wiped out my enemies. Then Janaka ordered for the bow to be brought. The iron chest in which the bow had been kept had to be pulled by 500 million workers to Janaka's palace. In that time, Rama opened the chest and with one hand he lifted the bow, he strung it and he broke it. And then Janaka gave the hand of Sita to Rama in marriage. Janaka sent his ministers to get Dasharatha here as fast. When Dasharatha heard the news, he told this to his queens and he immediately arrived there. Janaka greeted Dasharatha with love. So Janaka was discussing wedding arrangements with his priest. Meanwhile, Dasharatha was enjoying the hospitality of Janaka. So Janaka decided that he will invite Kushadwaja, his brother. And Kushadwaja, hearing the news of Sita's marriage, immediately came. Then the next day, Yuddhajit came. Yuddhajit was the brother of Kaikeyi. So at last, when Yuddhajit came, Vashishta, before the ceremony, Dasharatha asked Vashishta to recite the names of his ancestors to Janaka. So Vashishta told, Brahma is immortal, eternal and free from decay. To him was born sage Marichi. Marichi's son was sage Kashyapa. Vivaswan, the sun god, was the son of Kashyapa. Vivaswan's son was known as Manu. Manu was a Prajapati. His son Ikshvaku was the first ruler of Ayodhya. Ikshvaku's descendants were the illustrious kings Kukshi, Vikushi, Bana, Anaranya, Prithu, Trishanku, Dundumara, Yuvanashva, Mandata, Sushandi, Dhruvasandi and the famous Bharata. Bharata's son Asita was defeated in battle and retired to the Himalayas with his 2 wives. Asita died soon after leaving his 2 wives who were both expecting children. The second wife, out of jealousy, poisoned the first wife to get rid of her baby. By the blessings of Rishi Chyavanaya, the first wife survived and so did her son, who was named Sagara. Sagara's son Asamanja was banished for cruelty. His son was the virtuous Anshuman. Anshuman's descendants were the illustrious kings Dilipa and Bhagiratha, Kuchta and Raghu. Raghu's son, the glorious Pravridha, turned into the ogre Kalmashapada. Pravridha's descendants were Shankan, Sudarshana, Agnivarna, Shigraga, Maru, Prashluka, Ambarisha, Nahusha, Jayati, Nabaga and Ajja. King Dasharatha is the son of Ajja, and Sri Rama and Lakshmana are his sons. Then King Janaka told them about his ancestors. There was a great king called Nimi, celebrated in the three worlds. Nimi's son was called Mitti, and Mitti's son was the first Janaka. Janakan's descendants were the noble and virtuous kings Udavasu, Nandivardhana, Suketu, Devarata, Brihadrata, Mahavira, Sudriti, Drishtaketu, Haryashma, Maru, Pratimdaka, Kirtarata, Devamida, Vibhuda, Mahidraka, Kirtirata, Maharoma, Swarnaroma, and Hrasvaroma. Hrasvaroma had two sons, myself and my brother Kushadwaja, who was left to my care after the death of my father. Some years later, the powerful king Shuddhanga of Sankashya attacked Mithila because I would not hand over to him Shiva's bow and the lotus-eyed Sita. I defeated Shuddhanva in battle and placed Kushadwaja on the throne of Sankashya. Then Janaka offered his two daughters, Sita, who looked like a daughter of the gods, to Sri Rama, and Urmila to Lakshmana. Vashishta told, let the two daughters of Kushadwaja also be married to Bharata and Shatrughna. So Janaka was delighted. He arranged for the marriage of Bharata and Mandavi and Shatrughna and Shutakirti too. Dasharatha was very happy, and as a loving father he gave away 4 lakh cows and other gifts in the name of his 4 sons. So in on an auspicious day, Rama wedded Sita, Lakshmana wedded Urmila, Bharata wedded Mandavi, and Shatrughna wedded Shutakirti. After that, Dasharatha took the 4 brides and grooms with him to Ayodhya. But in the way they heard screaming of birds. The wise Vashishta told, the screaming of the birds indicates a bad omen, but the crossing of to the left of a deer is a good omen. So that means there will be a happy ending. I have told the story in Parashurama Avatar also, you can go and see it. But for those who have not heard it, I am telling it again, as it is included in Rama Avatar 2. So, Parashurama came there. The soldiers were frightened. Then Parashurama told Rama, "Oh Rama, you have broken the great bow of Shiva. Now you must take this Vaishnava Dhanush and fit an arrow into it. Then I will challenge you for a competition, single-handedly." So then Parashurama told the story of the bows. The Devas wanted to find out who was greater, Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu. So they went to Brahma. Brahma created a quarrel between the two gods. The two gods took their great bows and fought with each other. In the end, Vishnu shouted "Hoon!" and Mahadeva and the three-eyed Mahadeva and his bows were paralyzed. Then the Devas begged them to stop the battle, and so they did. The Devas thought, the matter is resolved. Lord Vishnu is greater than Lord Shiva. But then Shiva was enraged. In his anger, he gave away his bow to King Devarata, and Vishnu too gave away his bow to Richika. Richika's son was Jamadagni, but Jamadagni was a Mahatma who never liked the use of weapons. So when Kartavirya Arjuna killed my father, I took the great bow of Vishnu with me. Using my parashu, I wiped out the race of the Kshatriyas by roaming around the globe 21 times. Now I live in Mount Mandara because I am exiled by the great Rishi Kashyapa. So then Rama took the Vaishnava bow and fitted an arrow into it and told Parashurama, Parashurama, do not underestimate my strength. You think of me as a mere mortal, then witness my strength and valor today. He told Parashurama that I will either destroy your ability to walk, or I will destroy the fruits you have earned through your tapas. Then as Rama was holding the bow, and when he fitted the arrow into it, the brilliance released by him was too much to take for Parashurama. So Parashurama told, you are the imperishable Lord Vishnu. Saying this, he walked clockwise around Rama, and he told, I am not ashamed to be defeated by the Lord of the three worlds. So then Rama released the arrow, and Parashurama returned to Mount Mahendra, stopping the killing of kings from then on. Dasharatha blessed his son and returned happily to Ayodhya. The brides and grooms spent happy days with each other. Rama always used to look after his father and the needs of the kingdom. Even the people were pleased with him. Rama loved his wife chosen for him, and even Sita loved Rama very much. Rama and Sita radiated prosperity like Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi. And that's it for the story of Balakand. I will resume the story of Bhagavan Sri Rama in the next Kand, which is the Ayodhya Kand. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.